Elon Musk got high live on the air while talking to Joe Rogan at doing his live podcast. They talked for over 2.5 hours. There's a lot of stuff. They drank a little bit. They talked philosophy, SpaceX, Twitter, and at the end of this whole thing, Elon sold them a Tesla. So which was a big deal because Joe has been pretty resistant to this whole electric car thing. So I think that's actually one of the best things that came out of this interview. Let me tell you all about it. I just kind of finished watching it. There will be quite a few things coming out that people will be picking out of this interview here and there in the next few days, but let me give you the kind of a first impression, and there are quite a few other electric cars news, so let's get going right now. Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric. Thank you so much for joining me live. For those of you who are Patreons of the show, thank you so much for supporting the show. And if this is your first time watching me on YouTube and you are interested in staying up to date on everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, go ahead and click on the subscribe button so you don't miss anything moving forward. It's free. All right. This is weird, right? This is one of the screenshots I took from the YouTube stream. This was the Joe Rogan's show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Somehow he got Elon Musk to not just show up, but hang out there for 2.5 hours, smoke a little bit of weed. They drank a little bit of alcohol. And I do have to say that the entire, 2 hour, 40-minute conversation really did sound mainly like two stoned people just talking for just and killing time. I do have to say I found most of it as kind of like philosophical, weird conversation, really with no substance. I'll put the link in the description of this video so you guys can check it out for yourself if you want to. But first of all, Elon smoking weed was kind of funny, and this is why I'm wearing my Legalize It t-shirt, because it's kind of funny that, the weed is illegal here in California, while Tesla is not legal in all states, like Michigan and a few other. But that's beside the point. So that was one weird thing. The secondly, he did talk about his Twitter habits and so forth. And here's an interesting quote from that interview. He said, the vast majority of negative comments, I just ignore them. Every now and again, I get drawn in and it's not good. You can make some mistakes. So it's interesting that he does admit that he makes mistakes on Twitter. And he had apologized and deleted some of them. It's weird that he doubles down on them sometimes anyway afterwards. But I'll just leave that topic alone. He was just saying how Twitter is pretty negative overall, and he did keep that one social media, kind of deleted everything else, I guess. They did talk about just a lot of stuff. I mean, it's just so weird. I gotta tell you, like. It was kind of everything about nothing, right? But here's a big deal. Here's what I think happened that was a big deal. And again, I'm sure people might find some other hidden gems here and there. I mean, again, this is 2.5 hours of kind of really a weird conversation. But one thing did happen, and Joe Rogan in general, I mean, I've never liked the guy, to be honest with you. To me, he kind of represents that sort of an ignorant kind of jerk, the one that says screw electric cars, they don't make any noise. As a matter of fact, that's what he says a lot of times. He's been a big opponent of electric cars because they don't make noise. But the fact that Elon Musk was able to convince him to buy a Tesla, that's a big deal. And I think this is what I think this whole electric car movement is all about, right? We have to convince people like Joe Rogan, who kind of ignorant. They kind of set in their old ways. Anything new scares them. They don't quite understand it. We have to convince people like that, hey, this new technology is better. We don't have to make noise to be cool, right? As a matter of fact, silence may just be cooler. But most importantly, look at all of these amazing things and torque and other stuff. Whatever you want tech, here's tech. It's better than everywhere else. Hey, you want torque? Here's torque. It's better than everybody else. So Elon did a pretty good job convincing him of that and selling him a Model S, I believe. And I think that, to me, was a really bigger highlight of the whole thing, is because this is how we, as this community, electric car community, this is what we need to do, right? We kind of need to spread the word and convince those people literally one by one like this, that this technology is better. And so, yeah, listen, there will be other things and I will cover them, sometime next week. But I have to say that seeing Elon Musk kind of getting high and hanging out with on one hand, it's kind of weird, right? It's probably not adding, to his a positive character as far as the Wall Street is concerned. But on another hand, it was kind of cool to see him being all relaxed and kind of hanging out, right? We're kind of thinking of him right now as this stress ball that's just kind of like, but that was kind of cool to see. He does look kind of tired, I have to say, but I feel like he looks a little younger too. So now, just with Marquez, Joe, I think missed quite a few opportunities to talk to Elon about some, interesting things that I think a lot of us might want to know, and maybe challenge him on quite a few things, which he did none of it. Now, Joe admitted that he never met him, and it looks like he doesn't really follow him that much. Yeah, could have prepared maybe, but a lot of missed opportunities here as well. But I mean, at this point, it looks like Elon, only goes mainly to the friendly media where he can kind of catch a break and maybe smoke some weed. And I kind of understand it as well. So I think it was a missed opportunity on that. So that's it. By the way, I was really going to go with a different story as a lead-in story until I kind of got into this. And Elon literally just tweeted it out, the link as well on his Twitter, because quite a few of you praised me just yesterday because I didn't feature Elon's comments once again about his whole battle with the Thai diver as the main story, and didn't really add as much of my opinion as I had before. And unfortunately, guys, I'm sorry, I had to make this as a leading story because this is definitely very, very interesting. You don't see that every day, and I'm sure this will be a topic of a conversation at least throughout the day, but probably for the rest of the weekend. But there are actually pretty interesting electric car stories here, so stick around. Before that, of course, I want to remind you that this channel and this particular video is sponsored by Avanex, the aftermarket accessories. Also, while you're in the description of this video, go ahead and grab yourselves a discount code that they've provided for this community, so you can save yourselves a few bucks. Now let's move on to the story that I was going to make a main story originally, which is kind of a big deal because now Ford is finally showed us a first sketch of what they're going to release in 2020. All electric car with about 300-mile range, which is pretty impressive. As you know, they formed this Team Edison last year where they ended up swapping their CEO. They're saying this is inspired by Ford Mustang. I've highlighted the image was much darker, but I've highlighted it so you can really see those tail lights. They do like the Ford Mustang tail lights, and who knows, maybe they'll even name it Mustang. Though there is a rumor that they're actually going to name it a Model E. If you remember when Elon and Tesla were trying to name Model 3 Model E, obviously between Model S and Model X, Ford said we already have it copyrighted, you can't do it. So that's how Elon ended up with the Model 3. But that's what it would be kind of interesting if they end up naming it Model E. It is obviously a couple of years to go, but it's good to see that Ford is finally publicly telling us that they are moving forward with this. They are shifting a lot of their budget towards the electrification of their fleet, starting with this car. So this is good to see. This really was going to be my main story because, a little late to the party, but nevertheless, we welcome everybody to the party. 300 miles. Hey, even if they get to 250, that would be pretty cool. Now, the only thing I'm not really sure why they're trying to do it with their sports car. Creating an all-electric sports car is your first car. It is a little risky. I know that's how Tesla started, but there are quite a few things, especially, the battery output and overheating of the battery in a sports mode could be an issue. But hey, listen, it's good to see them doing this. Now, here's another huge news that I got to share with you. A new mini supercharging network, if you will, and this one is the one between the Nissan and EVgo. And as you can see, they just put quite a few, about nine charging stations, and total of 52 stalls altogether. on the East Coast to connect Boston and Washington, total of 52 stations along the side of I-95. They will have about 50 kilowatt charging power, but they will be upgradable to a higher charging power in the future. They can be upgraded, so that's also good to know. Not the superchargers, but definitely still fast charging network that is, will probably be growing. I'm not really sure why they did it there, because obviously in California there are more electric car owners, and definitely more Nissan Leaf owners than anywhere else in the world, really. So that's kind of weird that they didn't build it in California. But hey, if they can just grow it, maybe it's just a guinea pig. They didn't want all the attention or the heavy usage, so that could be as well. And hey, listen, and here's, by the way, here's a picture of what it actually looks like. Pretty cool. I think we've seen quite a few of these before, and EVgo is obviously not a newbie on the market here. So yeah, this is another big news, I have to say, that, if it wasn't for the other two stories, would have probably would have been just as exciting, because with all of these new cars coming out that are non-Tesla cars, they're all lacking the fast charging network, and this is a big deal for that. Let's move on back to Tesla news, and we're going to talk about the Tesla semi truck and Walmart. Now, if you remember, way back in the day when they unveiled the semi-truck, Walmart put in an order of 15 trucks originally, and lately the semi-truck has been kind of doing a little rock star tour across the different potential clients and companies that already reserved the truck, and Walmart decided to put an order for another 30 trucks, so a total of 45 semi-trucks, and that's what Walmart stands. And again, this is yet another assurance that these companies didn't just believe it originally, they're willing to actually double down, sort of speak, on this, and continue moving forward to making sure they'll have enough of these. It's still, in the grand scheme of things, 45 is a tiny little number compared to how many total semi-trucks Walmart operates. So here's an interesting story as well. Lucid Air. Remember this car? I've checked this car in person a year ago on a Monterey Car Week, when it was the only electric car being showcased there, and I really fell in love with it. It's probably one of the most, if not the most luxurious electric car I've ever seen inside, but unfortunately they kind of started running low on cash, and without the next round of funding, they started, settling down. Now, there are rumors that Saudi Arabian fund is ready to invest in them, and that could be one of the reasons they did this. They actually went to the Laguna Seca, and this is kind of a racetrack where a lot of electric cars and other cars trying to have as a measuring stick, and they said that they set a record for the fastest time over Model X and I-Pace. Now, some people are saying that, well, those were kind of a production-ready prototypes, if not the actual cars, and this was kind of, as you can see, almost stripped naked inside car. So, not too fair, but, here I almost don't care who beat what time. I mean, I just, that's not my thing, really. What I think is cool about it is that, these guys are still kicking. They're still kicking, and it's good to know, and I'm hoping the funding is coming. Not crazy about the whole Saudi Arabia thing, but nevertheless, to keep them alive, I really, really like that brand when I researched them and did a story on them. So I hope this is a beginning of their rebirth, just like Faraday Future did about half a year ago. Now let's look at another Elon's tweet just, I think, earlier today. And I really talk about these new features that they're adding, and they're already promising to add. But there is a new major version of the software is coming up, and I really love this feature that he said that they're going to have. They're gonna add a fade mode where, from what I understand, when you're driving the car and you just want to kind of chill and drive the car and just kind of have your maybe speedometer and maybe just your next turn on the screens, so you can simplify that. You can go into this fade mode, and it's going to very much simplify the entire thing, and you can just kind of concentrate on your driving experience rather than everything that's going on with the user interface. So I like that. I hope they do include it. Elon tweeted out and said that they will, so I'm really excited. Just like I said, it's about 1:25 in the morning here as I'm doing this video. I'm gonna post it right away. I'm not gonna wait until the morning when I usually do my upload my video, and it's because I'm going to the last third day to moderate the third panel at TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco. Here's a picture from today. Today I only have two panelists, but it was pretty cool discussion because we were talking about well, we're talking about security, the car security, because, much like any tech, not that all of these cars are very high tech, it can be hacked. And I think we had quite a few different, stories from that Jeep that got hacked originally back in the day to a few Teslas, including yesterday there was a story that potentially Model 3, just one, got hacked. So that was a pretty cool discussion. Tomorrow, the last one, I'm looking forward to it. And the TechCrunch Disrupt was kind of a cool place to hang out and see a lot of different high-tech startups. So that was pretty cool. Don't forget, on Saturday, my interview with the CEO of this beautiful car, and this is kind of the only sneak peek that they're releasing publicly. I was privileged to see the entire car at this mention where they were hosting potential clients during Monterey Car Week. My interview with their CEO, Michael Persky, at the mention, but again, no car. This is the only image. Still, nevertheless, check it out. I thought it was definitely an interesting one. This is his second time on the show. All right, let's move on to the comment of the day. And this one is about the Nissan Leaf that I mentioned. And because of the sales of Nissan Leafs, been, once again disappointing despite the fact that they've refreshed the look and extended the range. And quite a few comments were like this. Arturus P here says, no surprise about the Nissan Leaf. Would you buy it without thermal management now or wait till 2012 and buy a better one? Easy choice. I agree, it is an easy choice, but if I had to choose this one over the previous version, absolutely, that would also be an easy choice, and I would pick this one. And don't forget, people, yes, there is not, the lack of thermal management system is disappointing and flat out stupid on their part. They are fixing that. They are also increasing the range, or at least you'll have an option to go to 225-mile range in 2019. But not everybody can just perfectly time their leases and their purchases. If you needed to buy a car and you wanted to buy an affordable electric car, especially from the manufacturer that has a lot of service centers and so forth, that still wasn't a bad choice because you can still either lease it and return it in 2 or 3 years, or purchase it and then sell it in 2 or 3 years. So essentially the thermal management system won't really bother you that much. So yeah, I'm still surprised. At least I expected them to sell as many new Nissan Leafs as they sold the original Nissan Leafs at their peak time. And don't forget, the Nissan Leaf sells pretty well in Europe and Japan. There's still a waiting line there. They're setting all kinds of records. So it's not like it's not selling well at all. It's selling very well everywhere else but the United States, which looks like it's a question of the supply rather than a demand. But so that's my kind of a rant about it. Nevertheless, 2019 Nissan Leaf will be even better with a LG Cam battery. Absolutely no doubt, with the same better look, much better look. So absolutely, that's even a easier choice for you there. Whew, that was a lot of news. I'm sure we'll be discussing the Elon Musk stuff for a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and post this video and enjoy your comments. Don't forget, on Saturday, the interview with Michael Persky from Pininfarina. And after that, I don't even know what I'm going to post on Sunday, but something pretty cool as well. Maybe from Monterey Car Week as well. Other than that, I will see you live again here on Patreon on Monday. Of course, remember to stay charged.